Good afternoon, good night, good morning. Depends where you're listening to this bad boy. It is Tuesday, December 19th. It is around noon, about 15 afternoon. 15 afternoon, y'all. Thank you guys for listening to the Big Brown Breakdown. I will be your host as usual, Brendan Schaub here, balls deep in some Starbucks Christmas blend. Going off about 2 hours of sleep. My little man decided, I don't sleep anymore, bro. I like to get wild and loose at night. Since he was born, he's been a power sleeper. And then they call it sleep regressions, I think. Regressions. He just night terrors or something just clicks for him. Or he just, there's anxiety of you leaving him alone. So he just wants to... He thinks he's missing out on some big party when you put him to bed. So he wants to stay up and or be in our bed. So I had to sleep with him on the ground last night. Little dude likes to move around. He's rolling around like a goddamn caterpillar on the ground. So, yeah, it is what it is. Everyone goes through it, man. Nothing new. I actually embrace this. I like I like being in struggle city, trying to juggle work and obviously a youngster, a toddler. I think people way tougher than me have pulled it off with 9-to-5 jobs, 2 jobs, single mothers. So I try to not let it get to me. How could you? I love that little bastard.
Question on that. How big is he right now compared to like you and your brother when you were his age?
Bigger than both of us.
Whoa.
I know.
That's awesome.
I know. Took him to the pediatrician for what it's worth. They said they can guarantee he'll be over 6'2".
Perfect.
Not bad.
That's good.
How tall are you, Chin?
6'2", 6'3".
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like you're a little taller than that.
No.
Really?
I don't think so.
Oh. Yeah, he's not going to be short. Nothing's wrong with being short. But yeah, dude's going to be tall.
Cool.
Taking him to Disneyland on Thursday. Thursday will be my first day off in, I don't know, I can't remember. All of December, basically. It's my first day off. So I'm taking him to Disneyland. He's obsessed with cars right now, and they have a car land there. I'm hoping if I wear his ass out all day at Disneyland, he'll sleep at night.
Yeah.
We'll see, man. We'll see how it goes. It's fun, but I'm glad to be back from Buffalo. Buffalo and Syracuse, both amazing crowds, great people. I talked about this a little bit on Fire Kid, but the one thing that surprised me about Buffalo, and obviously I had a cappuccino there with the Buffalo Bills, but I did not see the town or meet the people really at all. But this time I did. I was there for several days, walked the town. It was freezing. Me and my brother, we're all over that bitch. But the food, some of the best food, if I have to put it up there, and I've been all over, I'd say top 3.
Gee, I wouldn't expect that from Buffalo.
I know. I'm telling you, man, Buffalo is a quiet hot spot, and the real estate's booming there for a reason. Places like Nashville and Austin, they get super popular and people find out and they move there. Well, Buffalo is a hidden gem, but obviously the weather's terrible. So that's why you're not going to get as big of a boom as these other cities. But it's freaking... They got a nice little secret there, man. It's very blue-collar, loving, like ridiculous architecture, buildings. I don't know what there's to do there during the day. Someone's like, you should go see Niagara Falls. I went, oh, that's the big waterfall? Like, yeah, I'm set. I've seen pictures. I'd rather stroll the city while it's freezing out. But it's cool, man.
People die accidentally there, too.
They
or
what?
Not die, but people fall over accidentally.
A kid fell over, right, recently. Yeah. That'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely freaking terrifying. That'd be a big bummer. But the biggest thing, too, for me is when I do the meet and greets, meeting people who, shoot, man, I've met people who've lost 100 pounds because of the keto diet, for whatever reason they started because they heard me talk about it, or people who start their own podcasts, or just cool stuff, man. Or people that has lost a loved one, the podcast helps them get them through it. Like, it's the best.
That's awesome.
Like, the meet and greets are by far one of the best things I do. Probably the most work, meaning, because I want to spend time with a lot of people. So sometimes the venues will get upset, not helium, but I've had venues get upset before. Like, dude, you got to move the line.
I know what you're saying.
And I'm like in Australia, remember?
Yeah.
It was only supposed to be, I think, an hour, and I was there for like 3
too
hours.
many people, man.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, let's just all get around and talk like, I don't know, like we're all friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone just sit there and then we can just do whatever we want. And it was like 2 or 3 hours later, and the venue was like, you got to get out, man. You got to get the fuck out. Yeah, I don't know. So that's a blessing and a curse. Just venues get upset, but I think the fans dig it. It's so much fun for me too. But yeah, so shout out to Buffalo and Syracuse. Didn't get as much time in Syracuse. Only downside Buffalo is my hotel room was haunted, and I'm not a guy who believes in ghosts, but that bitch is haunted. So I will not be staying there. I will not be staying there at all. Definitely stay at a different place, but I will be back, Buffalo. I love you guys. And Syracuse. Just got to get there more so I can talk about it, but Buffalo was a special one. Other than that, man, things are good. Things are good. Coffee is moving along. I should have an announcement. If I'm being realistic, I would say this bitch is up and running in February. Maybe January, but realistically, February. There's just a whole lot of moving pieces that I don't have control over, which I hate when I don't have control over a lot of things. But when it comes to this, you know, I can't go pick the beans myself. I can't draw every bag myself. I can't package it myself. You know, there's a lot of different kind of pieces that make this business work, which you don't even think about when you decide to start something like this. But I found the distributor, found the beans I love, and I said, hey, man, I know it's commercial, and the coffee connoisseurs hate Starbucks. It's like the anti-man. I get that. The reason why I like Starbucks is because I know exactly what I'm going to get every time. Mm-hmm. I know the quality. I know it's not the best in the world, but it's pretty goddamn good. You know, it's like vanilla ice cream. It's not going to blow your socks back, but it's definitely going to cut it for
always
you.
Good.
You know what I'm saying? It's always good.
Mm-hmm.
It never lets me down. I could go to Starbucks and Target. I can go to Starbucks anywhere off I-90, wherever, off the 5. It's all the same shit, and I appreciate that. That being said, I told the guy, I said, dude, this Christmas blend is my favorite. I love the flavor. I love everything. But it's bullshit that they only offer it around the holidays. I want to create a blend similar to this, but better beans, better quality, but very similar taste. Offer it year round. Call it the all-day roast, because you're going to be drinking that bitch all day. You know? That's what I want to do, so that's the plan. But, yeah. So I get asked a lot where we at on that, so that's where we're at on that. And I would maybe February, but obviously I'm maybe January, but February 100%. I can guarantee it will be up by February. Pushing for January. We'll see what happens there. Other news announcements. A bunch of dates just got posted on tfatk.com and my social media at Brendan Schaub. The Wilbur is almost damn near sold out. It might have sold out last night, but there might be 10 tickets left, which is absolutely amazing. I can't thank you enough, Boston. That's a special one for me. For a guy like myself to sell out a theater like the Wilbur is unbelievable. And when they approached me to do this, I was scared, man. I think I expressed a little bit about it on this podcast and the fight and the kid, and obviously to my friends how I thought it was going to be embarrassing when I show up and there's 30 people in the crowd. But I was wrong. You guys are right, and I love you guys. So Boston, that will be one hell of a night, and I have a special surprise guest for you, and I think it's going to be a good one for everyone involved. But before that, I'm in Portland. I'm excited about that because I love Portland. Some of the best coffee and food as well. Have you been to Portland, Chin?
But I heard that.
With that outfit, you'd fit in.
All right.
With that outfit, the beanie.
Perfect.
You'd fit right in. So if you want to come, let me know. Portland's dope. Portland, we will be there. And we have new shirts. We have Road Dog shirts that we just designed. And Road Dog shirts there, the Big Brown Breakdown shirts there. We're excited about all that. But yeah, Portland, that's Helium, and that is the 11th, 12th, and 13th in Portland. And then but the new ones would be Portland, Boston, obviously you guys know about, Denver, which is the first week of February. That thing is almost sold out. My hometown, Denver, at the Comedy Works downtown, which most people think is the best room in America. We will see. My favorite is the Comedy Store, which I'm at tonight with Bert Kreischer, Joe Rogan. I think D'Elia's on it. Everyone's on that bitch. But that being said, I'm in Denver first week of February, and then I go to St. Louis. I'm at the Helium in St. Louis. Trying to think if I forgot anything, other dates.
I could throw it up.
La Jolla, basically San Diego. I'm back at the Comedy Store for a full weekend in La Jolla. That is end of February. Also one of my favorite spots. Yeah, so you got St. Louis, February 2nd and the 3rd. You got La Jolla, the 23rd to the 25th. That's San Diego, for God's sakes. And then the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. I am there doing my hour solo on March 1st. And then on March 2nd, Brian Callen and myself are doing a live Fighting the Kid. And those tickets are available. All that is available on tfatk.com. I have more dates being announced as well for March. I know South Florida's on there, Tampa, I want to see Orlando, and Palm Beach is on there as well. And that's coming up. So I'll see you soon, Florida. For the rest of you, I'm trying, man. I see you're like, come here, come to Texas, come to Canada. I'm trying to work on it, man. It's not up to me, but I love you guys. Thanks for coming out. That's about it as far as the updates on comedy and all that. Things are good. Love you guys. Yeah, going off about 2 hours sleep, but we will do this. We will do this. Holidays are coming up, which I could give two fucks about. I'm like the Grinch, but for my son, and he's obviously super excited about it. So that makes it a little better. Are you a big Christmas guy, Chin?
I was.
Really?
I was so into
when you're
Christmas.
young?
Yeah.
I dig it when I was young.
Then it just kind of goes away. I think if I have a kid like you, I'll start loving it again, but
Yeah.
it's kind of gone now.
It's kind of gone,
Sucks.
right?
Yeah.
You know what else? Like, for me, it's awkward getting gifts. I feel like when I open them, when people give me a gift, I'm like, ugh.
That's so funny you said that because we have an exchange coming up, and one of my closest friends, he's like, he doesn't want to get involved in it anymore because the people that are buying him gifts, they don't know who they are, and then we don't talk to some of these people anymore, so it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, I'd probably dip
So it's
out of
funny
that.
that you feel the same way.
Yeah. Like, do your parents get gifts still?
No, we say that we go to my aunt's house and we say that we bought each other stuff. We already did it at home, but we don't.
You don't do
Yeah.
anything for each other?
Well, me and my brother give them stuff,
money,
but
yeah. And then do
that's
you and
pretty
your
much
brother
it.
give each other gifts?
Kinda. This year I'm going to give him some custom in-ear monitors.
Well, does he listen to the show? Now he knows what he's getting.
He does. I think he listens to it once in a while.
Well, fuck, man. You just gave away his gift.
He knows. We're we're 40, man.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not like keeping secrets.
There's no surprises?
No.
My brother, I'm like, hey, dude, Christmas next week. What do you want, man? Just let me know and
Yeah.
I'll order it and send it
Brothers.
to you. And he's like, no, I want to be surprised this year. I'm like, all right, man, you're going to get a dick in the box if you leave it up to me. I don't know what to get you, for God's sakes. I'm so busy, man. Let's just freaking do this. And then when we were in Buffalo, we were walking around with this mall, they had these dope Air Force Ones, like really sick ones that I haven't seen really online. I'm like, oh, I'll get you these for Christmas. He's all, I don't want to bring them back. I don't have the room in my luggage. I'm like, well, fuck, man. But I usually always get him a gift. I also get my girl and my kids gifts. But as far as my parents, me and my brother got my mom both like this giant big screen TV. She needed a new TV.
Nice.
My dad, not that he needs it. I'll probably just buy him a nice dinner when he's out here, or a plane ticket to come out and see me and the kiddo. But gifts are weird, man. I'd rather not. I tell my parents, don't give me anything. I don't really want anything.
They still give you stuff though, right?
Not really.
Really?
No, not really. They're starting to finally listen.
Mine will not listen. They always give me pajamas.
God damn
Every
it.
year.
See, that's why I don't want
Pajamas.
anything.
Yeah.
Don't give me pajamas. Don't give me a gift certificate to Walmart. Like, I'm all set, man.
Yeah.
I don't need Starbucks gift card. I don't need any of that shit. I'd rather you buy my son something, or just keep it. I know I sound like the Scrooge, but still, just keep it. All right, let's get to some fighting, man. Let's get to some fighting. You had the UFC on Fox, the big Fox. And at my shows, I don't demand much. But the one, I asked for coffee with almond milk. And then if there are fights on, if you can have them on the screen, whether it's pay-per-view or not, please make that happen so I don't miss anything. And I did get to see this one for the most part. I missed some. I saw most of the preliminary card. I saw Medeski. I saw Nordine, who looked amazing. I saw Marquez. His name's the Cuban Missile Crisis, right?
Yeah.
It's an awful nickname. Awful nickname. It's going to be tough to market. Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez. As I say it out loud, I'm not as mad as it. Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez. As I keep saying, I kind of dig it now. I was going to hate on it. It's different. He's a good-looking dude. I give him the beard over Woodley. I really do. I feel, hear me out here. Hashtag no racist. I feel like it's easier for black guys to have a thick beard than it is a white guy.
Yes.
Their hair's more
Yes.
fine. like horse.
And curly-ish.
Yes.
Kind of curly-ish, and it gets nice and solid.
For that reason, I give my boy, Julian Marquez, the beard over Woodley. I know that was a discussion. The UFC even tweeted out, which is interesting. But that's why I give Julian the win over Woodley there. Obviously won by submission. I like this guy. I think his story's great. He works at fucking Top Golf in Las Vegas.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, he works at Top. Yeah, we were just talking about it. Hey, Julian, come see for sure. Hook it up. I'm never in Vegas. I hate Vegas. But if I do come, I'll hit you up. And then he was obviously on the Dana White's Looking for a Fighter Contender Series, where the fuck that show is called. I don't see it, but there are great fights, and I think it's good for the sport. And he got his name off there, and now he's on the preliminary on Fox Sports. I liked his whole vibe. I think he's marketable. I think you want to root for this guy, so I was glad he won. His style right now is working. That brawling style, that entertaining style is working right now at middleweight. And, he's a big dude for middleweight too. But at some point, he's going to have to gear down and stop playing that game. He's getting fans doing it. I'm all about it. It's early in your career. But as he gets going, you're going to have to use that in spurts and when you already have the round won and know when to do it, when not to do it. But he's trying to figure out. He's young. I think he started MMA 2 or 3 years ago. So his ceiling is huge, man. Super huge. I'm a fan. I really am. I'm a fan of this guy. Best beard in the game since Cody Donovan was in the UFC. If you've ever seen Cody Donovan, my boy's beard, that was the best beard. But Woodley's is good as well. But Julian Marquez, first team all beard. And then on to the main card, Glover versus Misha. If you remember, I said Glover, if you want to make some money on this, that's a good bet as an underdog. It's Glover Teixeira, for God's sakes. He's impossible to put away unless your name's Anthony Rumble Johnson. But I thought he looked older. I thought his speed, he was slower. His footwork wasn't as good. He's very plotty. It looked like he looked like his age. I think Father Time finally caught up with him. I thought Misha was doing better on the feet, kind of teeing off on him a little bit. And then once he got taken down, it was game over. And I thought Misha was better on the ground. I know he's pretty high level grappler on the ground, but didn't look like it. And Misha's obviously hit a streak of roughness. But once it hit the ground, Glover just took over. As far as Glover fighting DC, I don't think it's there. I think the matchup would have been fun a year ago or 2 years ago. I think Father Time crept up with him. Even though he got the win, I don't see him beating, obviously Gustafsson he didn't beat. He's not going to beat DC. I think Ozdemir, if he could get him down, he'd win. But if he doesn't, he's going to get annihilated on the feet. I think Age has finally caught up with Glover. So that being said, when Age does catch up with you, you'll see a guy of his caliber grappling a lot more. So if I'm getting ready for Glover, like if I'm Misha, obviously he didn't know he was, Father Time's going to touch him on the shoulder for this UFC on Fox card. But if I'm Misha or whoever Glover fights next, I'm going to assume he's just going to try and grapple now. As he gets older, he's getting knocked out. He's getting more punches. You're going to see lots more grappling. Ponzinibbio and Mike Perry. I was more excited for this fight than any fight on the card. And I think Santiago, he looks good. He's obviously a more technical guy. Mike Perry gets in a lot of trouble when he fights guys who are really technical. I don't think Mike Perry lost much steam by losing to Santiago. And I think Santiago set himself up for a big fight. He did get the decision. But Mike Perry is a guy where in this division, I think his star is brighter than Santiago's, and his ceiling is higher as well. I root for Mike Perry. I find myself rooting for him. I think he can be a star in that division. The division is red hot. With Ponzinibbio, who knows what's next for him? Maybe a Wonder Boy, maybe a Colby Covington, but I'm a Mike Perry fan. I'm still a big Mike Perry fan after this. Word on the street was Mike Perry was hurt. That's what affected his conditioning. Obviously, conditioning is an issue for him. For him, it's about figuring out how to put together combos, because being that kind of power puncher, that Mike Tyson-ish, those huge looping left hooks, the uppercuts, the overhand rights, all that. For him, it's about putting together combinations and not getting outclassed on the feet when the guy has the fundamentals of jabbing, right hands, counter, stuff like that. He needs to figure out that. And once he figures out that, which I'm sure he's going to have to adapt because he hits like a Mack truck. Once he figures out that, watch out. Feel sorry whoever fights him next. The biggest, and I put this in quotations, loser on the card as far as they lost the most out of anyone on the card. It wasn't Misha. It wasn't Mike Perry. It wasn't Robbie Lawler. You know, it wasn't Abel Trujo. None of that. It wasn't Danny Roberts. The biggest guy who lost the most steam, who had the most to lose, would be Ricardo Lamas. He's ranked number 3 in the world. He's supposed to fight Jose Aldo. They pulled Jose. Obviously, Jose fights Max Holloway. Ricardo Lamas is waiting. It's the last fight on his contract. He bets on himself, and they give him Josh Emmett, who's not ranked in the top 15. He's this animal out of Team Alpha Male. Uriah Faber and all the guys talk about how talented he is. He misses weight, comes in at 48.5. I know Ricardo's team was even still like, I don't know if we want to take this fight, man. And after the negotiations, like, all right, we'll take it. We get 30% of his purse. I guess we'll take it. He had nothing to gain at all from this fight. And a star is born in Josh Emmett, who knocks him out with a left hook. And it's just a bummer, man. It's just a freaking bummer. Now, on the flip side of that, well, you got a star now in Josh Emmett. He knocked out Ricardo Lamas, who's this, and I say this very loosely, this is no disrespect. To me, Gatekeeper is different than, just a guy, he's tough. You get through him, then you're facing the top 10. No. When I say Gatekeeper, I mean a guy like Ricardo Lamas, who he's not the biggest star. He's tough as fuck. They're usually floating around 3 or 4 in the world. They're always 1 win away, maybe 2 wins away if they get a big KO or submission for fighting for the title. They're the gatekeeper to get to the title shot. So my definition of gatekeeper is different than everyone's on the internet or on the trolls in the basement. When you hear gatekeeper, a lot of people refer to Czech Congo as a gatekeeper. That's fair, because if you beat Czech Congo, then you're off to the races, where he was a guy who he can always hang with everyone in the world, but he's never going to blow your hair back. Well, Ricardo Lamas has beat some of the best in the world. He lost to the very best in the world. If you beat him, you should be in the top 3. So that's my definition of a gatekeeper. Is the guy, is basically the knight in shining armor, the guard before you get to the king. The gatekeeper is not the guy who's washed up. He's fought some tough vets. He's had some big wins. He's had some big losses. He's kind of over the hill. You beat him, you'll fight a top 15 guy. That's usually what gatekeeper means to most people, not to me. A gatekeeper to me is the guy that you beat him, you're right up the upper echelon of the belt. And Ricardo Lamas is that guy. Not a huge star, not that marketable, even though he could have been with his Mexican influence and stuff like that. Speaks well, looks good, has all the skills, just as tough as they come. Took a risk on himself. This is the price, that you sign up for. This is the game that we play. It's a bummer to talk about in hindsight now. He bet on himself, and he lost in a major, major way and got flatlined by Josh Emmett. You got to star on Josh Emmett now. Do you run that back? What do you do? Where do you rank Josh Emmett? Because he missed weight. Carlos Lamas, he took this fight against all odds. How much do you drop him in the rankings? I don't think you drop him much. I think I'm not taking away from Josh Emmett. I think if they fought again, he had to make weight, and you give Ricardo Lamas enough time to prepare for him. It's probably a different story. I don't think he gets knocked out. Although from Uriah Faber's perspective, they said this Josh Emmett kid has just been waiting in the dark, ready to explode on somebody. Unfortunately, if you're a Ricardo Lamas fan, it was him. So, thoughts are with Ricardo Lamas. Hopefully he's all right, but that is such a fucking bummer. And then the main event, Rafael Dos Anjos and Robbie Lawler. I watched this whole fight. Watching this fight, or when I heard this fight was announced, I go, okay, winner of this is going to get Woodley. But winner of this, I think the UFC would want Robbie Lawler to maybe get the title shot because he's a bigger name and he's been a title, he was the belt holder before at 170. But remember, Rafael, they were going to give him the title shot before. A lot of people forget that they were going to give it to him earlier before this. And I thought in order for Rafael to get that kind of notoriety, to get ahead of the queue, in front of Wonderboy, Masvidal, Till, Kobe Covington, he would have to literally knock out, submit, or completely destroy Robbie Lawler. I thought he did that. He didn't knock him out. He didn't finish him, but he outclassed him. And now it could have been Robbie Lawler, time off, the injuries. I guess the low kick affected him. He had a bum rib as well. A lot of that was sustained from Rafael dos Anjos in the onslaught that he did against the cage of Robbie Lawler. I thought it was the coming out party for Rafael dos Anjos, and that's weird to say because he's a world champion at lightweight at 55. He's the first Brazilian champion at 155. Now he has a shot to staple himself on the Mount Rushmore, especially for Brazilians, if he can become champion at 170. I think he matches up very, very well with Woodley. Maybe, as far as takedowns, cardio, striking, he poses a lot of threats to Woodley. I still think Woodley would be a slight favorite, and he should be, but Rafael dos Anjos does have a very, very good shot at becoming the world champion at welterweight. But that's not next for him. You guys see all around the internet, Woodley just had his surgery, how long he's going to be out. Do you want to wait to mid to probably late 2018, Rafael? If I'm Rafael, probably to get my title shot, or I think you should fight a guy like Colby Covington. I wouldn't fight Wonder Boy. Awful matchup for Rafael. Terrible fucking matchup. Let's not lose a title shot fighting a guy like Wonder Boy. We're not going to do that. But what I would do is fight Colby Covington. I think it makes sense. Colby wants to fight. There's obviously a history with Woodley's campaigning so goddamn hard. The Star Wars thing he did, where he tweeted out the Star Wars spoiler. All right. A little bit of a tool move. I always told you there's the line, run past it, but that has nothing to do with fighting. Remember? I said that wherever people tell you the line, run past it. But when you become a dick of spoiling Star Wars, that has nothing to do with the business you're trying to deal with inside the octagon. So that was a little bit of a tool move. I'm still a fan. I like what you're doing. You get notoriety, but that's really going to turn people off because I like shit talking as much as the next guy. I like when you come out the other fighters because they defend themselves. You're gonna hype the fight. I see what you're doing. There's this whole entertainment aspect of it. But when you step out of that and then you just piss off just general fans, well, then you lose me. You lose me as the advocate. I go, come on, man. You don't want to be a bully. There's no bullying in fighting because these guys can fight. They can stick up for themselves. But when you lash out at just the general public and spoiler alerts and that stuff, then I'm out. Then I'm off the Colby train. I'm not off yet. Watch it though. You're on a thin line, my man. But I think Rafael versus Colby makes sense. Avoid Wonder Boy if you're Rafael. Avoid Wonder Boy if you're Colby. But Rafael, Colby, I would do that in the meantime. It's a good matchup for Rafael, good matchup for Colby. If Colby would win that, he obviously would just be there waiting for Woodley. If Rafael wins that, there's no argument who should be next. So that makes most sense to me. Fun card overall. Everything, the whole card was good.
Great card. And that Rafael dos Anjos, Colby Covington thing, since the whole Brazilian thing.
Correct.
Yeah, it's even better.
Did you hear Rafael's comments? He goes, he has 7,000 Twitter followers. Like, I don't even know why we talk about this guy. He literally has 7,000 Twitter followers. It's not like he's a big deal. Maybe Damian Maia, it's not shit. I'm looking for a title shot. But I'd be willing to bet the UFC does that because our boy Woodley's going to be out for a while. And you just can't hold up the division like that. So what you got as far as current events, man? There's a lot going on in this MMA world. In regards to boxing, you had Billy Joe Saunders versus Lemieux, which was an amazing fight. Billy Joe Saunders, I think 27-0, just completely outclassed Lemieux. And if for whatever reason Triple G and Canelo don't get done for, I think, May of 2018, if there's any hiccups, Billy Joe Saunders will fight Triple G. And a few people who are in the know of boxing think Billy Joe Saunders is a nightmare matchup for Triple G. With his footwork, he's a big-ass dude. We saw the issues that Triple G had with Danny Jacobs, who's a bigger guy with good footwork who can take his punches. So they think Billy Joe Saunders could be the guy, especially as Triple G's getting older now. And we saw him in his last fight against Canelo. They think Billy Joe Saunders could be that guy who actually stops him or beats him up. A little bit different than Canelo. His style's completely different. You're not going to freak this guy out as far as mentally. The bigger the fight, he seems to pass the test. If you guys are listening, you're like, dude, I don't really follow boxing. It's not a big deal. This Billy Joe Saunders is a character. He's very similar. He's a traveler. He's gypsy. He's gypsy, and his best friend is Tyson Fury. If he goes Instagram, it's hilarious. I'm telling you guys, there's some real characters in this boxing scene right now. Boxing has never been better. I stand by that. Boxing is fucking hot right now. There's so many personalities. Mikey Garcia's fight just got announced. You got Billy Joe Saunders. Does he own that Gypsy Embassy Pub and Grill? Yeah, he does. So there you go. Oh, well, I think he's just hosting this thing there, but still. Go. There's videos of him. Keep going.
There's a bunch here.
Go that one where that guy with the flute in the background. Just give you a little taste of his personality. This is him on the way to weigh-ins. Nah, not the best one. Let's see what else we got. Just keep scrolling down.
Tell me what.
I'm sure there's... Keep going. His footwork's ridiculous, man. Keep going. I'm sure there's one of him and Fury fucking dancing or something.
Fury's would have it, though, right?
Yeah, but he posted too. He's not as wild as Fury, but he's a freaking character. And the boy has some serious skills. Go that one where he's laying in bed talking. Let me see what he's talking about there. Right there. Down. The middle. Yeah, what's going on there?
Oh, not bad.
Another day closer to the 16th. These Americans talking shit. We'll see who's going to do what on the 16th. Tune in, Box Nation. And still champ, Billy Joe Saunders.
Handsome feller. Anyways, check him out. What's his...
This is cool. His dog has a little motorhome.
Yeah, he has a motorhome too. There's a picture of him in his motorhome. Keep scrolling down. Mm-hmm. There he is in his Lambo. But there's a picture of his Lambo parked outside of his caravan. Him and Tyson Fury just fucking love caravans. They actually grew up fucking gypsies.
There's that one I think we saw.
We played that one. Right? Play it for the fans again for Billy Joe Saunders. This is what you're dealing.
Team ritual before training. Go, Bill.
I've heard that you're settled down, that Ben's found a girl and he's married now. Trust it.
That you found a girl and you're married now. This is our team ritual.
How ridiculous is that? I think it's just fun to hang out with.
Yes,
man.
they do.
And with those personalities, they're good for boxing. I'm telling you, they're fucking good for boxing. I'm a huge Billy Joe Saunders fan. Huge Billy Joe Saunders fan. I hope he just keeps getting bigger and bigger. More people know who he is. I mean, look at Fury and his boy there. It's hilarious. All right, man. So that's for boxing. If you missed that one, I'm sure they'll replay on HBO. Mikey Garcia's fight just got announced. But what do you got for current events, Jin?
When you were coming in, I saw this article that the ratings for Fox 26 weren't great. So it's supposed to be the sixth or the lowest in 6 December Fox shows, the big Fox shows, and then the third lowest overall.
So it says UFC on Fox 26 overnight ratings return 1.78 million viewers with a 0.6 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. That's what they want. Mm-hmm. According to MMA Fighting, make it the lowest number ever for the 6th annual December Network primetime special and the third lowest ever. By comparison, UFC on Fox 22, Vanzant and Waterston drew 2.69 million viewers. While the lowest of the low came in the wake of UFC Fox 25, Weidman versus Kelvin Gastelum with one. Wow, I didn't know that. Weidman, Kelvin Gastelum. Mm-hmm. The numbers are particularly troubling for the UFC as it negotiates its new network deal. Yeah. Yep. Man, I don't know what's going on. I think it's a combination of things. I think a lot of sports are down, although basketball is higher than ever. NFL numbers are going to fucking be huge as the playoffs get near. And then you had Pittsburgh, New England, which was an amazing game. Watched on the plane. Really the first entire football game I watched this year, just because on the plane I didn't have a bunch of distractions. But I don't think it's all on the UFC, but a big portion of it is, I think it's the change of management, meaning WME owning them and kind of not having a plan, kind of just living in the moment, trying to book the fight that will get the most eyeballs at the time, a very entertainment mindset, which ends up burning you towards the end. You look at the Conor McGregor situation, which I was a fan of in regards to Conor McGregor, because I always want the fighter to do what's best for him and not what's best for the company. Same with GSP. I always want the fighter to do what's best for him, not best for the company. That being said, if you're running a business like the UFC, when you do those things, there's going to be repercussions. Well, now you let Conor do that. He makes all that money. To get him to fight MMA again, or to get him to fight soon, or when you want, is going to be tough. It's going to be really tough, because now the power is in his hands. The ball's in his court. He has $100 million in the bank. And he tied up the 145 division for a while now. Finally, he had to vacate that belt. Now 55's a mess. We really don't know what's going on there. And then we look at what they let GSP did with these money fights, the money fight era. Look what GSP did. It really didn't make a lot of sense. You had, Whitaker looming there. What's he going to do? Then you have Bisping. Some people didn't think he was the real champ. I disagree. I think he was. But then you just have GSP come out of nowhere, which they thought was going to be this huge draw. It was a decent draw. But then it makes no sense. It makes no sense. But you're gonna make your bed. And now you got to lie in it. When you lie in it, now it's tough to keep up. The divisions are a little bit chaotic. The rankings really don't matter. When you think about rankings, and you think guys who have been awarded these big money fights, or guys who've been rumored to fight Nate Diaz, right? Nate Diaz Woodley, that's out of left field. You had the CM Punk fight. You had these weird experiments, and this big pile of, I should say, this big vat of stew, this entertainment stew isn't working. It isn't working. I think we're going to look back on these money fights and go, wow, boy, that was a mistake. No one really takes it serious anymore. The rankings really don't mean shit. Most fans know where they stand. I guess if you're a common viewer and you see a 4 or a 7 or a 2 or a 3 next to the guy's name, you go, oh, he must be pretty good. Well, if they're fighting on Fox or on the pay-per-view, you automatically assume they're pretty good. I don't need, when I watch baseball or football, a number next to the guy's name to assume he's a goddamn good fighter, good football player. We got to assume they're professionals. So the rankings, especially if you want to do the money fight stuff, go out the window. All rankings now is how it's basically like a high school yearbook. It's a popularity contest now. How big of a draw are you? Because the rankings that you see on the UFC website, when you go to UFC.com or wherever you want to get your rankings from, the most legit one is UFC.com, right? Because that's what the UFC goes off of. Those do not matter, because in the heads of the brass, the UFC brass, they don't go off those rankings. They go off a popularity contest. It's very similar to high school. Who's the most popular? Who's the most controversial? Who's going to get the most eyeballs if we book it? And then you go, yeah, but that guy's ranked 7. Why would he fight the champ? Because we'll get the most money for it. All right, what about 6 through fucking 1? No one knows 2. No one knows 3. I know, but they've earned it. They've deserved it. Doesn't matter. So the rankings, literally throw them out. They do not matter. If you're a fighter, they're fun to see. Wow, I'm number 2. Wow, I'm finally ranked top 15. Wow, I'm number 10. That's all good and dandy. And for the general fan to look at it, go, oh, cool, look, rankings, and he has a number by his name. But for the UFC brass, it doesn't. Their ranking system is different in their head. So you got to think, and that's why you get the Colby Covingtons. That's why you're getting these guys doing these weird promos, because they're trying to up the ante of their ranking in the UFC, which we don't know what they're thinking. We have no idea where the rankings are as far as popularity. It's a popularity contest. So the official rankings aren't shit. They're almost laughable. It's a popularity contest. How popular are you? What can you do to get more popular? What show can you get on? What interview can you do? What promo can you rip? How good do you look? Can you model this? Can you get on Dancing with the Stars? Can you get in this movie? How good are you in social media? That's what matters. We're in the entertainment era. It's the entertainment era. But if you're going to make your bed in the entertainment era, you got to lay in it. And when you lay in it, You get ratings like the UFC on Fox 25, the UFC on Fox, whatever the fuck this was, 26, some of the lowest ever, because it's hard for people to keep up. There's a lot of going on. Where the stimulus of these huge money fights, it's so big that the downfall no one's caring about. The legit fights no one's caring about, because you've put so much stock into this guy over here. These other talented dudes who maybe aren't as good on the mic, maybe don't look the best, but they have amazing fight records. They have amazing talent. You're forgetting about them. You're not marking them because they're not the entertainment fighters. They're not the money era fighters. And now you're seeing, you're reaping the labor of what you're doing. But I don't think it's all in the UFC, but a big portion of it is. So, and that's what we get in these ratings. It sucks to see this, because Rafael dos Anjos and Robbie Lawler was an amazing fight. The whole card was good. Van Zandt versus Watterson, fun fight. Weidman versus Gaslam, hell of a fight. You know, Chris Weidman was a world champion. What else you got?
It's going to take a somber note. So, Robert Follis, coach at Extreme Couture.
Yeah.
He died at 48, suicide, and it was from a gunshot to the head.
That will do it. So if you guys know who Follis is, founding member of Team Quest, he's a coach at Extreme Coutures. He's only 48.
Mm-hmm. It said that he left last month. He left Extreme Couture as head coach to do other opportunities.
What were the other opportunities?
I don't know.
Kevin Lee's coach, Misha Tate's. Mm-hmm. He was on The Ultimate Fighter as a coach. Ugh. It's just such a bummer, man. It's such a bummer. He was the co-owner of the legendary Team Quest along Randy Couture, Matt Lindland. He spent 10 years in Oregon at the Powerhouse Gym. Then he went to Extreme Coutures. He guided Misha Tate, Kevin Lee. It's just such a bummer. I would be curious to see what his brain looks like. Whenever I see stuff like this, a former guy with his pedigree, his background in wrestling and fighting, I'd like to see what his brain looks like. But when you shoot yourself in the head, sometimes the brain can be tough to research. But I'm sure they can still see. It's just about, what can you say?
Yeah.
What the fuck can you say here, Chin? I mean, it's a bummer. I didn't have any personal interaction with the guy. Obviously, I'm a fan of his, the work and the body of work that he's put together over the years. But he's obviously struggling with some serious demons. And I would have liked to see what's going on in his brain. That's all I can say about that. What else you got?
That's a bummer. And last one on this, you showed me something yesterday. You texted me about a Korean pop star that committed suicide.
Yeah.
And then I'm telling you that this dude was so enormous. He was like...
What's his name?
Jonghyun. So Kim Jonghyun, he was from a group called SHINee. And they were in the beginning, they were probably the biggest Korean pop band ever at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're like NSYNC?
NSYNC, Backstreet, yeah, that kind of stuff.
NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, like combined, they were so big?
Yeah, probably bigger at the time when they were big.
How long ago was that?
2008, 2009.
Okay. So huge. Money wasn't an issue.
Super huge. No, money's never an issue with these guys. They have tons of money, but they also have tons of criticism and all that other stuff from online stuff, from their sales not being as good later. Because, you saw how it's like a factory, right? They're pumping out new artists all the time.
Yeah.
So you're huge for this few years, and then you kind of get left behind afterwards. And you're set.
And these guys can't deal with it.
But yeah, there's too much stuff to deal with, like not being as good as they were before. But each member of that group, they all do like acting and all this other stuff. They're so huge. And this guy's probably like...
Did he do anything outside of...
He has a solo career too. So that's why I was saying that he's like, if Bruno Mars here committed suicide, that's how bad it was, yeah.
Was he as relevant as Bruno Mars, though?
Even bigger.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Damn. So it says a farewell note written by Korean pop star Kim Jong-un made public Tuesday, a day after his apparent suicide, points to the crushing pressure he felt from being a celebrity in South Korea. Damn, I am broken from inside, Kim wrote. Better known as the frontman. The depression that had been slowly eating me up finally devoured me, and I couldn't defeat it. Jesus Christ. And I would assume that, especially you tell me this, Chin, he was Korean, right?
Yeah.
Being Korean, I'm sure it's looked at as a sign of weakness if you reach out or talk about this, like publicly. If he came out and was like, hey man, being a Korean pop star, being this big, I'm miserable, man. The pressures, this is horrible. I have depression.
Yeah, that would be.
It's hard enough for Americans to do it,
people.
where I would say it's getting there. Obviously, high school, we have our issues, and a lot of people suffer from insecurity, stuff like that. But a lot more people are out and about as far as telling people their problems, social media, or saying, hey, I'm going through the same thing, or, stuff like that. And there's Suicide, one of the biggest songs of the year, won all those awards from Logic. It's a suicide prevention hotline.
Yeah.
So you see in America kind of more, there's open dialogue. But in Korea, I would assume, and a lot, especially around the rest of the world, it's almost like Russia. You're not going to fucking, what? You're not going to talk about your depression in Russia. Who are you telling? There's fucking snows here every day. Shut your mouth. Go march in the snow. Make a snowman. Wrestle grizzly bears. Drink vodka. With this Korean dude, like, what are you depressed about, man? You're the biggest star. But you never know what someone's going through.
No, never.
It's heavy shit.
Super heavy.
It's always a bummer to me because obviously this is my own ego, and I don't speak Korean, so there's so many language barriers that we'd have to get through. I feel like if I could just talk to them before they do it, they'd be all right. I don't know depression, and there's people listening to this, and I have people DM me. I've met people in person who are like, no, it doesn't work like that, bro. Think of it as if you had the allergies, or you had the flu. Like, it's a sickness where I might talk to you, I might feel good after I talk to you, but then I go home that night. Your talk doesn't cure the remedies. It doesn't work. But I've had like guys with PTSD or who are suicidal go, man, I listen to the show. It helps me escape for whatever the show is, those 2 hours. As soon as 2 hours are over, I'm back to it. And, I don't struggle with depression at all. If anything, I have the exact opposite where I wish I had a little more depression.
Jeez.
But so it's hard for me to understand it.
But you were onto something there when you said that they don't reach out to other people. They don't tell anyone, especially in our culture, Korean culture. So this guy, as soon as this happened, all these other Korean celebrities started messaging saying like, crap, I wanted to say something to you. I wanted to hug you, but I couldn't do it myself because they're looking like they might look stupid.
They'll look weak.
They'll look bad, yeah. So it's super crazy that this happens still today. Still today.
But how many Koreans, I wonder, especially in that fucking K-pop culture, are going through this?
Dude, a lot. So
a ton.
Remember I told you that like 4 or 5 huge stars committed suicide because of the same stuff, pressure.
Jesus
Pressure
Christ.
from the online community and pressure to be as good as they were last year, to be the best.
And see, I think this is a kind of a little bit of the downside of social media, because I feel like suicide is so much more common today. I'd have to see the statistics. I'm doing straight up Brendan Schaub bro science right now. I'd have to see the statistics of is suicide up in 2000, let's say 15 and on, now that social media has become such a monster and so relevant in everyone's lives compared to back then, let's say in the 70s or in the 60s, how relevant was suicide or prevalent? Because now there's high school kids committing suicide because they're getting bullied online. And now if you're a celebrity, if you're a pop star, if you're Adele, if you're P. Diddy, if you're an actor, you're getting criticized. Before, if your movie sucked, there might be some talk when you walk in a restaurant. They're never going to say it to your face. Now you open up your social media and everyone's on social media. You're seeing the actual spew of absolute disgust from the worst human beings in the world, and it will get to you. It will really, really get to you.
Trippy, right?
And now you see, and when kids were getting bullied before, you get bullied at school. It's like, God damn it, punch the guy in the face. I leave. He's not going to bully me anymore. Well, now that bully might be tech savvy and he's a beast on social media, so he's bullying you at home. So now you get bullied 24/7. So now you see kids commit suicide a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, so like you're saying, there's certain people that would just be like dicks and comment and stuff. So imagine this guy who has gazillions and gazillions of fans saying all this positive stuff. I'm sure because he's human, he's still a human being, even though he's a superstar. You know, that the few things that were messed up
towards the negative.
It just hurt him too much. And then plus, obviously, he wasn't as huge, even though he's still huge, or he was still huge. He wasn't as huge as he was a few years back.
Narcissism's a motherfucker.
I don't know what it is, but it's
I feel for him, man.
Crazy.
That's such a bummer. What else you got?
All right, back to MMA.
Oof.
Yeah. Oh, so Eric Anders,
I'm a fan of this guy.
Ex-football player, says that football is definitely way more dangerous than MMA.
That's interesting. And first of all, this shouldn't just be something that everyone passes by, because Eric Anders was a monster at a little place called University of Alabama, Crimson Tide, and he was a star linebacker. He was a stud linebacker, and especially when they won the national championship. He made some big plays. So I would not just take this lightly. This kid does know football. So it says he attempted to catch on teams in the NFL and save. He's a little small, I think a little slow for the NFL. I get that. So then he started doing, he had over 20 amateur bouts before turning pro in August 2015. That's a shitload of amateur. Good for him. That's a smart way to do it. He says, I enjoy and love MMA much more than I ever did football, but at the same time, it's also kind of part of the reason why I'm moving up so fast. I already had the built-in fan base when I got to the sport. A lot of sporting fans all over the country that love the Tide. Football has been good to me. Football is way more dangerous than MMA. Even if you get knocked down in MMA, it's just one time, then you get up and you take a couple months off, let your body heal. In football, you may not get knocked out, but you're constantly getting hit, especially if you play that D-line, linebacker, running back, offense line position. Every play is collision. Your body doesn't appreciate that. You see guys at 30 years old, their career is done just because of all the hits, all the contact. Just look at the shelf life of an average NFL player, 3 to 5 years if you're lucky. MMA guys, they can play for much longer. Ooh, I'm going to disagree with some of this. As long as they're not the one of those guys who play with their hands down, just chuck fences and take it to give it. Well, there's some validation in his points where, yeah, football, there's these little hits over and over and over. Now, to his point where he says, man, if you get knocked out, you have time off, and you're not taking the hits, you can actually recover and get back in there. Yes, in that aspect, you're right. If that fighter realizes he's concussed, takes 60, 90 days off, does no training, no contact to the head, then it's safer. However, how many guys, especially if you're a fighter listening to this show, or me as a fighter, when I would get my bell rung in practice, how many of you actually took the right amount of time to not get hit in the head? Probably not many. How many are actually training smart? Probably not many. So is it safer than football? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think this is like saying which drug is worse for you, heroin or cocaine. They're both not fun for your body. Neither one is good. If I had to pick one, I guess cocaine, the shorter sprints. I don't have to inject a needle in my arm. You know, cocaine or crack. Gee, I guess you smoke crack. Cocaine I can sniff. So, you know, you don't sign up for fighting or football because you're worried about safety. And the business of fighting and the business of football are not too concerned about your safety. Obviously, they don't want to get sued, so they will paint you a picture where we're doing everything we can, but at the end of the day, you know what you're signing up for. There's going to be brain trauma all the way around. Everybody, it's a brain trauma party, football and fighting. And when you say careers last longer in fighting, maybe, not at a high level they don't. Meaning, I think, and this is years ago, I saw the average MMA career was 1.5 years in the UFC. You have so many guys getting cut left and right. In football, the average career is 3.5 years. That's different because you're drafted. The team invests money in you, so they're not going to let you go. They're going to give you more shots than the UFC would, because it's really not, especially if you're a new guy, you just got to the UFC, there's not a whole lot invested in you, so they're just going to cut ties very fast. They don't have to keep you around. But to that point, in fighting, yeah, I might go, let's say I have a UFC career where I have 3 fights. I get knocked clean out all 3 fights. and I get cut, I can go fight in a smaller organization. I could go fight in Bellator. I could fight at MFC. I could fight in Ryzen. I could go to ADC or where the fuck it is in Russia. I can fight in some small league here. I can go to Brazil. No one's really going to stop me from fighting if I want to fight. If I'm in the NFL and I get my bell rung and I'm just dropping passes or throwing interceptions, not making tackles, and I get cut, I can try to get on with the team, but it's going to be pretty black and white. I'm just going to get cut. Then where do I go from there? I don't have. It's kind of done. So it's almost more dangerous to be a fighter in this sense because, yeah, all right, I can fight for 10 years, not the highest of levels, but it doesn't matter. Brain trauma doesn't care if you're fighting the UFC or if you're fighting a small show in Iowa. Mm. Yeah, so I think Anders has some good insight there. Obviously, the guy played at the highest level of football you can play at Alabama. But to say football is more dangerous than MMA, it's all relative. It depends on your fighting style. Depends what position you played in football. There's a lot of factors that come into it. Neither one's good. Crack or cocaine? Which one do you like better?
When you had fights and when you had football, which I don't know if this is a good question. So if you actually were in a hardcore game in football and got hit a lot,
yeah,
compared to when you were in a fight, did it take a certain amount of time for either one to heal up?
Fight all day.
The other one?
Fight was by far way worse.
Way worse?
Because you know in football you're having bumps and bruises, and there's football conditioning where these guys are playing. In the NFL they hate it, but some guys play on Sunday. Then there's Monday night football, there's Thursday night football. Some guys that play on Monday then play on Sunday, but they're still able to perform. They're still balling. They're still putting up great plays. If I'm a fighter, I can't fight on Sunday and then fight on Thursday. Yeah. I can't. Even the Ultimate Fighter, we didn't fight that way, where you're fighting, if you go all the way to the finale, you're fighting 3 times in 6 weeks. But, that's all luck, too. If you're not getting hurt, no bruises, no broken bones, no stitches. In fighting, if I had a rough day in the office, let's take my Crow Cup fight, for instance. If I had a rough day in the office where I won, I had 27 stitches total on my upper lip, I had 14 on my left eye, I was concussed, I had reconstructive surgery on my nose, I'm out forever. You know what I'm saying? That was a rough day in the office. Yeah. There's no way I could have competed that year. I was out for the year. It's just different animals.
Do you remember how long it took you to feel good again? Like your body didn't hurt?
Weeks. And, I had hyperbaric chamber. I had a nutritionist. I had all the resources, and you can't recover from that stuff. It's just different. Again, but it also depends on your fighting style. If you ask Mike Singletary, who played linebacker like a damn savage, how he felt, he'd probably tell you a different story than compared to a guy like, I don't know, a linebacker for the Denver Broncos or something like that this day and age, where there's more passing, you're not hitting as much. It's just different. But again, neither one's healthy. The point of this whole story is neither one's healthy. That's like asking, hey man, what should I do, crack or cocaine? Whichever one you prefer, neither one's going to be healthy for you. Both of them will give you bags under your eyes. What else you got?
All right. Floyd Mayweather, he's back in the news. So he was saying that it was either a Periscope. The article say it was on Periscope, but it looked like Instagram.
This day and age.
It looked like Instagram Live. So he was saying to the fans that the UFC called him not too long ago that they want him back, and then he could actually make $1 billion there. Maybe do a few fights there.
I feel sick. I feel physically ill when I see this. Again, I just talked about how the UFC, the ratings are all-time low because it's the entertainment era, and they want to book these guys that at the time will get a huge amount of views. But in the overall grand scheme of the company and in the fights and the game plan, it's going to end up screwing you. So you got to sleep in the bed you're going to lay in. How many times are we going to make this bed? Floyd Mayweather fighting in the UFC is the biggest crock of shit that they could possibly make. It's ridiculous. At what point do we stop this? I heard Brad Pitt throws a mean left hook. You want to book him? I heard he's down to fight in Boston. I heard George Clooney makes hell of a tequila. You want to book him too? Like when do we stop? I guarantee you George Clooney and Brad Pitt will be huge pay-per-view gainers. Huge stars. Go ahead and book them, man. Heard Dr. Phil's can hell of a double leg. You want to book him? So at what point do we stop doing this bullshit? Why would you sign Floyd Mayweather? And also $1 billion, you ain't making $1 billion in the UFC. Because what's going to happen is everyone's going to tune in once. And you're going to get ankle picked and choked out in 30 seconds. Then after that, it's over. That ship has sailed. No one wants to see that either, man. I highly doubt they've offered him that money too.
Do you think they actually talked to him about it? Is that true, do you think?
That is such a shit show. I don't think so. You know what? I'm going to pretend that they didn't. I'm going to pretend WME isn't so desperate for money and to make up that $400 million nut that they have to cover that $4 billion or what the fuck, $2 billion, that they're not so desperate to get money that they're going to start doing stuff like this. I hope it's not true. What else you got?
Let's move on. Okay, so this is just Faraz Zahabi, GSP's coach, talking to Robin Black on TSN.
Hold on, before you say that, Faraz Zahabi is not only is he George St. Pierre's coach, head coach, he's also his best friend. They grew up together.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Okay.
So this will carry some weight.
All right, so he was asking Robin, so what do you think? Because he says that George can actually heal up and come back, but he'd come back for something big and epic. And he says to his face, he goes, "What do you think, Mayweather, McGregor?" He actually threw out Mayweather as his comeback fight. Yeah.
What do I know? If I had a crystal ball and I had the same agent as George St. Pierre, I would say that GSP is trying to make 170 pounds. And the only fight, you're not going to ever see him against Woodley. So Woodley quit chasing that. You're never going to see him defend the belt at 85. That will never, ever happen. The only thing that will get him out of that warm Montreal bed is a fight against Conor McGregor. The only thing that will get Conor McGregor back in that octagon is a Canadian named George St. Pierre. So when you're talking about an actual super fight, that's what you get. Now, this is a super fight because let's say you do it at 70 or you do it at the catch weight of 65 or 60, whatever you want to do. And I know I just talked a whole lot of shit about super fights. This one makes sense because it doesn't hold up any divisions. If you're going to make this fight, just have Conor vacate the belt at 55. Again, belts do not matter anymore. Rankings do not matter. All they want is the most popular fight possible. So you have GSP vacated 85, cool. Conor McGregor vacated 45, cool. 55, let's vacate that. Who gives a shit? You're still getting money. So then you have GSP Conor at a catch weight. It's just a fun fight. It's a huge fight. It's the biggest fight in UFC history. GSP wants to make it happen. He's going to see if he can get to 70. Obviously, Conor McGregor can make 70. Now, is it the smartest fight for Conor? No. But what is left in MMA, in the UFC, that would be a smart fight? Does he make as much money fighting GSP as he would Manny Pacquiao? I know the UFC and Conor are trying to negotiate a deal right now. For the first time, a fighter has so much more leverage than anyone ever in the history of the sport to negotiate a deal where he gets a percentage of the company. He has that much star power where he goes, I'll fight, but over here in this promotion, the McGregor promotion with Floyd Mayweather that I just did, I made $100 million. You want me to fight these monsters for a fraction of that? You're crazy. You're crazy. In what world would I do it? And if you're the UFC, what negotiation power do you have? What would you bring to the table? Well, you're fighting for a legacy. I'm already a champ at 45, 55. I knocked out the best of all time, 45 of all time, Aldo in 13 seconds or 16 seconds, where the fuck it was. I'm sorry, what else? Well, and at 55, I knocked out Eddie Alvarez that retained the belt there too. And then I fought Floyd Mayweather, the best boxer of all time, lasted 10 rounds. I'm sorry, what were you guys saying? What do you want to do now? Give me another water. Here's what I need. The UFC is going to play the game. They have this for the first time ever in UFC history. They literally have to play the game. They can't go, nah, we're good. You can't. You're not going to bully Conor, saying, no, we don't need you. Because in order for their new TV rights deals to gain some momentum, they have to mention Conor McGregor. There has to be some sort of progress in the negotiations in order to get that big TV deal. Because if let's say you're Amazon, Fox, ESPN, Showtime, HBO, whoever you are, Hulu, dear God, don't go on Hulu. But if they're on any of those and they go, all right, we see ratings are down, but who's your stars? And the UFC goes, if you're Amazon, Hulu, or Facebook, trying to negotiate with them, or Fox, you go, well, do you have Ronda? No, she's out. She's doing WWE. Okay, and remember, these guys aren't balls deep in MMA. They don't know they don't know the game. So all they know is the actual superstars. So do you have Ronda? No, she was WWE. Oh, but you have Brock Lesnar? No, he's WWE too, and he's not fighting either. Oh, but you got, what's the Irish kid, the huge star, just fought Floyd? Conor McGregor. Yeah, no, he's cool too. He's actually not fighting either. Okay, what would you say you do? Who do you have? Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, we forgot one. You have John Jones. No, he is really good. Yeah, he's the best of all time. He's actually in some legal trouble, so we don't have him either for probably the next 3 years. Oh, but you have Paige Vanzant. She was on Dance with the Stars. Yeah, she's gorgeous. She actually lost her last fight and got knocked out really bad. All right, you know what? We have CM Punk. Floyd Mayweather might want to fight. That's what you're dealing with. So for the first time ever, you got Conor McGregor with all the chips in his corner, and I love it. What else you got?
So as big as Nate and Conor would be,
this would be better. This
selling,
trumps
right?
that. This trumps that. Nate's lost 3 out of his last 4 at 170. Yeah. You know, his last win was against Conor. So,
and they're both technically 2 belt holders, both of them. So that's a huge
biggest fight in UFC history. Okay. There's a lot. There's so many moving pieces that would have to happen to make that. GSP would have to make weight. He'd have to agree to the deal. Conor, they'd have renegotiate his deal. It'd have to make financially sense. There's so many moving parts. But I do know this. Conor's team, GSP's team, do want this to happen. I know that.
Bam. There you go.
What else you got?
I wanted your opinion on this. All right, so Aljamain Sterling, when he got knocked out by Marlon Moraes, it was one of the most vicious knockouts we've seen on TV, right? It was
a rough one.
So the way UFC handled it was just by not talking about it anymore and not showing Aljamain Sterling anymore.
What are we, in 3rd grade? So that's how I broke up with my girlfriend. I just didn't say anything the next day.
So Aljamain's like, he wants them to change that because, they have friends, they have family that are watching, that are freaking out, and obviously he's going to go to the hospital. He can't talk to them. So if they would what do you think? Should they show?
They just mishandle it. You shouldn't keep showing the knockout over and over. Obviously, you're diminishing your product because Sterling's going to fight again. You don't want to have him be remembered just as that. He's had a great career. He's beat some good guys. Hendon Brown his last fight, So I think there's one of 2 ways to handle it. B, going radio silent is so amateur. It's not even funny. And if you want to be taken serious as a sport, you want to be considered like the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, soccer, Premier League, all that, you have to address this stuff. Because imagine the NFL. Imagine the NFL, a quarterback gets knocked out and you just never hear about it. People are like, what the hell? Did he die? What happened to him? Is he going to be okay? That's our star quarterback. So for them not just to say anything, it's just unprofessional. That's my thing. It's just more unprofessional. So you have the guys in their outfits, right? You have the Reebok kits, the outfits where they look more professional. You have the UFC Octagon, more professional. The walkouts, the presentations, more professional. But you have to cover all your bases there. You just can't go, oh, he's knocked out. Whoa, what happened to him though, man? Is he okay? And they even moved the camera away so you couldn't even see what was going on. It's very strange. Not the best way to handle it.
Another thing. So he was also upset that Sean Shelby, like no one from the UFC, actually called him later the next day to see if he was better or anything like that.
Bubba.
I don't know.
Oh, Bubba. Welcome to the goddamn game. Welcome to the fight business. Welcome to the most brutal business in the world. You're only getting a call if you're one of their top 5 guys. Mm-hmm. And I learned this the hard way, man. It's so heartbreaking. When I fought Roy Nelson, my first main event, obviously to get the UFC contract, I get knocked out. And, I was a star of the Ultimate Fighter 10. Everything's going well. I get my first loss to Roy Nelson, who's a superstar, former world champ. And I figured, they're going to call and check up on me. At least make sure I'm all right, that I'm not that concussed, that everything's all good. Maybe they give me inspiration like, hey, man, some of the best in the world I've lost. You'll bounce back from this. Mm-hmm. You know how many calls or emails I got? Just take a random guess.
I'm going to guess none.
Zero.
Yeah.
You know what I got when I retired? An email. But this is what if you know what you're dealing with, you're going to be fine. When your heart gets broken, when you have the expectations that you're not just another circus in the elephant. We're all gray elephants in the circus, man. As soon as you fall out, you got another gray elephant waiting to go in the back. That's why I always cheer for guys like Conor McGregor, or you got your freaking these outliers. Because Conor McGregor, he's that green gold elephant where we just can't replace it with another gray one. He's green and gold, and everyone's paying to see him. You can't just treat him like shit. You're gonna check up on him. That's why I root for those guys. Because it's so brutal.
It sounds very brutal.
Yep.
And the way he said it too, he was like, I know that, it's a business relationship, but we thought me and Shelby were kind of cool.
No.
No.
Shelby has a million other guys to worry about. It sucks. And Shelby, I actually really like Sean Shelby. He's a beast, great guy. But in his line of work, it doesn't come with, making sure the fighter's okay. Yeah. He has to look at the next card and book those animals. And he can't worry about it,
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the roster.
There's a ton.
But still.
They need to have a division called the friendly division. Yeah. And what happens is they call the fighter, make sure everything's all good after. Now, I've seen it with my own eyes, and I've heard on my own eyes when they're superstars and they lose, or even if they win, the big man checks up on them. Mm-hmm. But you have to be at a certain level. It's the same, and this is in any sport. This isn't fighting. I'm not being negative on fighting, but I always reference this. Jimmy Johnson, the NFL, they went, man, how do you treat superstars different? He goes, well, I'll tell you a story. Troy Aikman's first round draft pick out of UCLA's first training camp, they're in a meeting, and the third string quarterback, who's undrafted free agent, fell asleep. He's been there for 3 years. Troy Aikman, in the same meeting in his first week, hasn't played a down in football, also fell asleep. What do you think happened? He woke both of them up. That third string quarterback got fired on the spot. Troy Aikman then went, hey man, you all good? You need to take a nap? Do you need a water? That's the game. And once you realize what animal you're dealing with, you're in so much better shape. Your feelings won't get hurt. And that also, when you're negotiating or when they call you on a short notice fight, know that you have some control there, and know that they're probably not going to scratch your back when you scratch theirs. But you got to know the animal you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Sterling just learned what kind of animal he's dealing with.
I like the idea of having that team that comforts you at the end.
Talking about the friendly team?
Yeah, friendly
First team all friendly?
That's good.
Yeah, maybe just have former legends reach out to you.
That'd be awesome.
I guess, or it's really going to bum me out. You have someone just a straight up legend call you, but he's just punchy as hell. And you're like, oh, God, all right, man, this bummed me out even more. Or you get a care package. That'd be cool. You get a knockout care package. I'd have had a few in my career. That'd be sick. You get a pack of DVDs or some shit to cheer you up, like Rudy and Rockies. You get a teddy bear. Maybe a thing of I don't know, Thin Mints or some shit. It's a bummer. That's definitely the business, man. What else you got?
All right. Jeremy Stevens versus Doo-Ho Choi for Ufc St. Louis.
Ooh, I like that.
January 14th.
Doo-Ho Choi's last fight was
Swanson, one of the best.
Him on a while.
Yeah.
Talk about a recovery. Now, is he your favorite fighter of all time, Chin, since he's Korean?
He's one of my favorite fighters. But it's funny because a few of my favorite fighters are Korean. So there's Korean Zombie and Doo-Ho Choi, because they both go crazy.
They're have exciting. A very similar.
They're very exciting.
Kamikaze style.
Yeah, but there is technique in there.
There is,
but it is just.
But they always
ruthless.
bring it.
Yeah,
they always bring it. Now, did they both have military duties? Is that why they both left, or no?
So the Korean Zombie had to leave for military, but I don't think Doo-Ho Choi has gone yet. Or maybe...
Better get your ass in gear because you're going to go.
I think he still has to go.
Yeah, you still have to go. It's required there, right?
Required. If I was still in Korea, I would have to go.
Damn, I feel like you're not ready for that.
No. Well, my dad went. He was a Marine.
Yeah, and I get it. Yeah. I feel like you're not ready for that. Maybe it's just...
I'll show this side of you here, but...
Nah, you ain't ready for that Korean military, bro.
No, Come on. I'd be crying every day.
Hell yeah, you would. You ain't ready for that. You're a house cat, man. Me too, though. I'm not ready for that either. That St. Louis card's amazing, though. You got Jeremy Stevens, Doo-Ho Choi, Uriah Hall, Vitor Belfort. Poor Vitor in that. You got Paige Vanzant, who's back against Jessica Rose Clark. You got Usman, Emil Meek. Shout out to first team all body Emil Meek. He was actually going to come on the show, but he had to leave town. Shout out to Emil Meek. I'm glad that got rescheduled. You got Darren Elkins, Michael Johnson. That's a great fight. James Krause, Alex White. Apologize for that. Theodore Alves, Zach Cummings. There's a lot of good fights on that card, man. So when I say this card stacked, it's stacked for an MMA fan. My dad, it's not stacked. He's like, what? I know Vitor Belfort, or if you're a Dancing with the Stars fan, you like Paige Vanzant here. Other than that, though, the ratings won't be great. So that's January 14th. Oh, I thought I was going to be in St. Louis then. I'm in St. Louis the first week of February 2nd through the 3rd, I think. St. Louis Helium. All good things in St. Louis, man. Is that it, brother?
One more. Jorge Masvidal exposed his DMs with Michael Bisping. I just thought this was funny.
Why are they DMing each other?
It's him. Jorge's attacking Michael Bisping. I guess he really wants to fight with Michael Bisping.
They hate each other.
Let
me read this off. These are hilarious. So this is Jorge Masvidal talking to Michael Bisping. This is funny. Hey, ho-ass Mike Bisping. Quit taking shit to me. Spelling's not great.
Yeah.
Anyways, quit taking shit to me when UFC team and staff there and act like a man and let this 155 in your racist ass. You punk bitch. You rip my flag and spit on Latin fighters' corners? Damn right you won't get in there with me. Yeah, it's rough. I am going to hurt you and keep hurting you, not going to knock you out quick. He'll no punish your ass for the disrespect you bring. Just sing, pussy. Don't run your mouth or run from fight. Yeah, this is tough. Anyway, it's tough. It's tough with DM a letter like this. I'll give him that. And he's Cuban, right?
Cuban.
So language isn't, English isn't his first language. You had a chance to talk like men in private. You choose to make scene in front of fans and UFC staff. Laughing face, crying face, laughing face. You such a hoe. Mike Bisping responds back, fuck you, little bitch. Get a life, you sad fuck. Then you get crying meme, happy meme, crying meme. You are my lifetime, you hoe. Then Michael Bisping responds back, laughing meme, laughing emoji. You're a funny guy. I'm not wasting my time on absolute no one. That nobody cares about. Quit trying to get famous by dropping my name. And then Jorge carries on. Where's he at? Oh, I could be nobody, but this nobody will fuck you up, and you know it. Quit talking shit to me when you see me. And then Bisping goes, it's a two-way street. Okay, man, listen, I'm not interested in any beef. You do your thing, I'll do mine. Remember, you started this, but as I say, I'm not interested anymore. If you want to keep it up, you're on your own.
And then
is this Masvidal posting this?
Yeah.
So he put prediction, gets offered the fight, turns it down. Prediction 2, all corny welterweights start calling out thy name. Number 1. So he went back to, all right.
I don't know what's going on.
Oh my God. Number 1, I know a lot of you fighters grew up watching me. Stop trying to be me. You know who you are. This is to welterweights in particular. 2, stop being corny. 3, enjoy this little gem between me and Michael Bisping. Hashtag backyards to bright lights. Hashtag gamebred. Hashtag real is back. Woo, that was tough.
That's fun, though.
That was some inner city fucking lingo there. I'm proud of myself. I watched that fight. I like how Bisping was like, all right, man, listen, I'm not interested in this anymore. You do your thing. Keep it up. You're on your own. I'd watch it, though. That was hilarious. I'm glad he posted that. Is that it, boss?
That's it. Unless you want some more, or you want to do some fan questions?
Let's do some fan questions.
Cool.
What you got for fan questions, Jen?
All right, let's start off with Cabrerando. How many hours do you sleep a day? Since people like The Rock or Kevin Hart sleep like 5 hours. And I tried that, and I can only do it for a few days, maybe a week max.
Oof. Yeah, they say something like less than 4% of the world can survive off 4 hours of sleep. Now, are Kevin Hart and Rock some of those guys? It appears so. Or are they on some sort of supplements? It appears so. But they're both so goddamn successful. I wouldn't be surprised if they are in that rare kind of percentage who can operate off 4 hours. I'm not one of those guys. My son is having night terrors or whatever, but he usually sleeps 12 hours. I'm usually in bed by 9. I get up at 6, so I get pretty good sleep. I don't have a hard time sleeping, but lately I'm going off 4 hours. It's not fun. So I'm not one of those guys.
And your energy's pretty good, right?
I mean, this is my 5th cup of coffee. It's a venti, and then this morning I had an almond milk latte with an extra 2 extra shots, and then before my day even got started, I had 3 cups of coffee.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I don't know. Coffee's the nectar from the heavens for me. What else you got?
All right, Rich Klins. Should Lomachenko fight Gervonta next, or what do you think should be next?
Gervonta Davis?
Yep.
He's gunning for him. Floyd Mayweather thought Lomachenko was throwing shade his way, but he wants Gervonta Davis. I think he would eat Gervonta Davis alive. But Gervonta Davis has that rub off of Floyd Mayweather, and he's promoted by the Mayweather promotions where it's a fight that would make sense. I think Floyd would protect his fighter. But what I've heard is Floyd's not the biggest fan of Gervonta Davis, and he doesn't think he's the next coming of Jesus. So I could see them maybe making that fight, but terrible matchup for Gervonta Davis. I would like to see Lomachenko versus Mikey Garcia, who's fighting in February on Showtime, but which just announced. I'd like to see that fight. And I think Mikey Garcia has the fundamentals, and he's tough enough where he can last all 12 rounds and not quit on the stool against Lomachenko. But in that podcast I did with Mike Tyson, I asked him who he thinks is the best fighter, and he said Lomachenko has skills that he's never seen before. He's by far the pound-for-pound number one. There's your cosign. It's goddamn Mike Tyson. When that podcast comes out, I see you guys asking. I have no idea. That's on Mike's stuff. They're a little bit all over with that, but it's called.
That came out of nowhere.
It's called Biting the Mic with Mike Tyson, and I have no idea when they're going to release it. It's not like Fighting the Kid or Big Brown Breakdown.
Yeah.
What else you got?
But still awesome. The real Tommy D. How do you start keto? Coming from someone who cannot cook. Any simple meal plans?
It's pretty easy because you don't have to be freaking Wolfgang Puck to do this diet. Like last night. I'm a beast on the grill. I still think that I'm better than Joe Rogan or any of those guys. So I grilled lean hamburgers, and I had cheese on them, or I grilled fillets and I'll cut it up, put on a salad with cheese, tomatoes, avocado, walnuts, stuff like that. But it's pretty easy. I mean, just think protein, fats. Just cut out all the carbs and sugar, and then look at your meal. It's pretty easy to figure out.
No sauces though, right? Because all the sauces have all
You can
that
have
sugar.
mustard.
Mustard's good.
You have mustard or mayonnaise. Forget ketchup.
Yeah, sugar.
No more ketchup.
All right.
And you have all the hot sauce you can handle for the most part.
All right, that's good, except for it's just sodium, right? But
Yeah, you're
sodium doesn't
good.
do
No,
anything.
salt's fine, especially if
Yeah.
you're working out.
Cool. All right, Liam Whaley _. Who is the biggest breakthrough fighter of 2017? Is it Thug Rose, Darren Till, Ngannou, Covington, or Ozdemir?
God, all of the above. It'd be hard to single one out because I don't think you can give it to Francis being the heavyweight is going to gain more traction because of the way he looks and he just murks everybody. But if you're saying just based off 2017, remember, he won't be heavyweight champ or won't have the potential to be heavyweight champ 2018, January 20th in Boston. Hashtag I'm there the night before and there's 13 tickets left for my sold out theater. Anyways, tfatk.com for tickets. So Francis, I don't think you can give 2017, but he gets a lot of notoriety because he's a heavyweight and he looks like a Greek god. Thug Rose beat maybe the best 115 of all time, Joanna. Knocked her out, so there's that. Kobe Covington, he beat Damian Maia, but it's just not the same as what Thug Rose did. Going over that list, I'd probably say Thug Rose. What she did, probably Thug Rose. And who she beat, how she beat her. It was the biggest UFC of the year, that pay-per-view, 3 title fights, Madison Square Garden, beating Joanna, the pound-for-pound champ.
Tapping Joanna with strikes, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Probably Thug Rose out all them. For boxing, Lomachenko, no doubt. What else you got?
This is good. So this is boxing. Grubby Grafter. You can only watch one of these. Which one is it? Is it Joshua versus Wilder or Loma versus Linares? Linares.
How dare you put me in this predicament? Listen, as a former heavyweight, a guy who's balls deep in heavyweights, and Wilder is a buddy of mine. Wilder, Anthony Joshua is the fight everyone wants to see.
Oh, yeah.
That's the goddamn fight. And I just think Lomachenko just has no competition, so there's no really – you're going to watch an ass whooping. Joshua Wilder, I have no idea. Guarantee someone gets knocked out, but that's a great, great fight. One for the ages in the heavyweight division. So definitely Wilder, Joshua.
I agree. How about one more?
Yeah, one more.
Michael A. Ramos. When is this not happening coming out with your story? That show you did.
Oh, on Comedy Central?
Yeah.
They're editing season 4 now. I see my guy at the Comedy Store all the time, who's the editor, one of the showrunners for that. So I'll find out. I'm at the Comedy Store tonight with Rogan, Burt Kreischer. I will find out. Or I'm told early 2018. I made the cut. I know that for a fact. So
Sweet.
We'll see. Early 18. Stay tuned. Comedy Central. This is not happening. I am on that bitch. Is that it?
That's it.
Fun show, man. Lots going on in the fight world. Appreciate you guys listening. Dates coming up. Again, Boston, Wilbur Theater. There are very, very few tickets left. That is in Boston, January 19th, the night before the huge UFC Francis Ngannou versus Stipe. I'm there the night before at the Wilbur Theater, January 19th. And then Portland, I'm there the 11th through the 13th. That is Portland, Helium. That's going to be a fun one. And then Denver, I'm coming home, you filthy animals, you mile high animals. I'm there for one night, one show only. Comedy Works, downtown Denver, the legendary Comedy Works. That is February 1st. And then St. Louis, the 2nd and the 3rd, Helium, St. Louis. Let's get weird, Helium Comedy Club. And then the Comedy Store in La Jolla, basically San Diego, 23rd through the 21st. Get your tickets right now, tfatk.com. Love you guys. Thank you for listening. As usual, bigger, browner, badder. I'm out.